From idea to business model, turning ideas into real businesses. Every day, millions of people have business ideas. Ideas in cafes, ideas in classrooms, ideas in offices, ideas written inside notebooks. Some ideas sound brilliant. Some ideas feel revolutionary. Some ideas even feel like they could change the world. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Most ideas never become businesses, not because they are bad ideas, but because they remain ideas. An idea alone has no value. None. The world is full of people who say, "I have a business idea," but very few people can say, "I have a business model." And that difference changes everything. Because a business idea is imagination, but a business model is structure. A business model answers the real questions. Who will pay? Why will they pay? How much will they pay? And how will the business actually make money? This is the moment where entrepreneurship becomes real, where creativity becomes economics, where inspiration becomes execution. Welcome back to Real World Business School. In this session, you will learn how to move from "I have an idea" to "I have a structured business model." By the end of this lesson, you will understand the 5 critical steps entrepreneurs use to transform ideas into businesses. We will explore how to validate an idea, how to build an MVP, how to test unit economics, how to run real customer experiments, and how to decide whether to pivot or persevere. Because real entrepreneurs do not fall in love with ideas. They fall in love with evidence. The idea trap. The biggest trap in entrepreneurship is not failure. It is falling in love with your idea. Ideas feel personal. Ideas feel exciting. Ideas make us imagine success. But business reality does not care about excitement. The market only cares about value. This is why experienced entrepreneurs treat ideas differently. They treat ideas like hypotheses. A hypothesis means something that must be tested, not believed, tested. This mindset changes everything. Instead of asking, "Is my idea brilliant?" entrepreneurs ask, "Is this idea true?" And the only way to answer that question is through validation. Validating an idea. Idea validation is one of the most misunderstood stages in entrepreneurship. Many people think validation means asking friends if they like the idea. That is not validation. Friends want to encourage you. Real validation comes from behavior, not opinions, because people say many things, but their actions reveal the truth. The goal of validation is simple. Find evidence that people actually want the solution. There are 3 powerful validation methods. Validation method 1. Problem interviews. Instead of pitching your idea, ask people about their problems. For example, instead of saying, "I want to build an app for remote teams," ask, "What challenges do you experience when working remotely?" This approach reveals real frustrations, real habits, real needs. Great businesses begin by understanding problems deeply. Validation method 2. Pre-orders. If people are willing to pay before the product exists, you have powerful validation. This is why many startups launch waiting lists or pre-orders, because money is the strongest signal of demand. Validation. Method 3. Landing pages. Create a simple web page describing the solution. Then measure how many people sign up, how many people show interest. This reveals whether the idea attracts attention. Dropbox validation. One of the most famous validation stories in startup history comes from Dropbox. When Drew Houston had the idea for Dropbox, the technology was extremely complex. Building the product would take years. But he had a question. What if nobody actually wants this? Instead of building the product immediately, he did something brilliant. He created a simple explainer video. The video demonstrated how Dropbox would work. Even though the product did not yet exist, the result, the waiting list exploded. Thousands of people signed up overnight. This proved something critical. People wanted the solution. That simple validation saved years of uncertainty. This is the power of testing ideas before building them. The MVP principle. Once an idea shows early validation, the next step is building an MVP. MVP stands for minimum viable product. But many people misunderstand this concept. An MVP is not a cheap product. It is not a poor product. It is the simplest version of a product that can test a real hypothesis. The goal is learning, not perfection, because every extra feature increases time and risk. Smart entrepreneurs build the smallest possible version of the solution. Let's look at examples. And now Airbnb's MVP. Before Airbnb became a global company, the founders simply rented air mattresses in their apartment. That was the entire product. Air mattress, breakfast, website. That experiment proved people were willing to stay in strangers' homes. Uber's MVP. Uber did not start as a global ride-sharing platform. At first, it was just black cars in San Francisco, limited users, manual operations. But that small MVP proved demand, unit economics. A business idea must solve two problems, a customer problem and a financial problem. Unit economics answers a simple question. Does this business actually make money? Unit economics measures the profitability of a single customer. Key metrics include customer acquisition cost, lifetime value, revenue per user, cost per transaction. If acquiring a customer costs more than the revenue they generate, the business cannot survive. Many startups fail because they ignore this stage. Growth means nothing if the economics are broken. Real entrepreneurs check the math early. Customer testing. Now the real learning begins. Customer testing means putting the product in front of real users, not friends, not investors, real customers, and observing behavior. Ask questions like, do they understand the product immediately? Do they use it repeatedly? Do they recommend it? Customer testing reveals the gap between your assumptions and reality. This is where most businesses improve dramatically. Pivot versus persevere. At this stage, entrepreneurs face one of the most difficult decisions. Should they continue the current strategy or change direction? This decision is called pivot versus persevere. A pivot means adjusting the strategy while keeping the vision. Many famous companies pivoted. Instagram began as a location app. Slack began as an internal communication tool. Twitter began as a podcast platform. Pivoting is not failure. It is adaptation. Great entrepreneurs listen to evidence. Classroom exercise, build a business model. Now it is your turn. Choose one idea, any idea. Now convert it into a business model canvas. Define customer segments, value proposition, channels, revenue streams, key resources, key activities, key partners, cost structure. This exercise transforms an idea into a business architecture, because real businesses are not built on inspiration. They are built on structure. Ideas are everywhere, but structured business models are rare. And the entrepreneurs who succeed are not the ones with the most ideas. They are the ones who know how to test them, refine them, and turn them into real economic systems. If you want to master the real mechanics of business, Subscribe to Real World Business School.